Welcome back to Mac Talks Football, and what a game of football that was. PSG versus Spurs in that Super Cup. That a game perfectly summed up Tottenham Hotspur as a football club. I know I'm an Arsenal fan, people are gonna come at me because I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm saying this about Spurs, that game, just as I said, it perfectly summed up that club as a whole, right? They're doing really good. Everybody expects them to to go ahead and achieve something great, defeating the current European champions and whatnot, and it's looking like nobody's going to stop them. And then they shot themselves in the foot. It's a never-ending story. It's an old story which keeps on saying that it just feels like you're watching the same episode on repeat every single season, every major game. It is Spurs end up being Spursy, and they have done it yet again. They were terrific in that entire game. I'm not going to take that away from them. I said in my preview, I went for a 4-1 win for PSG, but I said in my preview that the first 20-25 minutes are going to be really important. If Spurs are able to hold on to that PSG's onslaught pressing onslaught in that first 20-25 minutes, and they are able to make sure that they don't concede in the early stage of the game, then they are going to have the chance, because that is really PSG's biggest trick at the moment. They attack from the get-go, and they force their opponents to make some mistakes. But Spurs were really good in that first half. They were really good for about 98% of the game, and then the last 2% they went ahead and they screwed it up. They defended really well. PSG had majority of the possession, about 80% possession PSG had, but they were really not able to do anything with it. It is maybe it's preseason, maybe players are still not feeling fully fit. They have not really returned back from the holiday. They played the Club World Cup. All of that things can could be can come in this scenario, if I'm being very honest with you. Spurs, on the other hand, after the Europa League final, they have not really had that many games. Their preseason has been okay, so their players were more fit, their players were more fresh, and it showed on the pitch. The way that Thomas Frank wanted to play, it is starting to materialize. You can see what Spurs are going to be doing this season, and it is looking really dangerous. If you are if you are any other Premier League team, you can see that they are going to be a real problem this year, Spurs, and they go ahead and they take the lead. The set pieces, both the goals came from set pieces. If there was one person in the entirety of that world watching that game and who would have had a gigantic smile on his face, it would be Donnarumma. It would be Gianluigi Donnarumma, because both of the goals, I can bet. I'm not a betting man, I don't bet, but if I was a betting man, I would bet thousands of dollars, millions of pounds that both Donnarumma saves both of those shots. Both the time goalkeeper was on on fault. He could have easily the first time he is not able to parry it away. The second time, the second goal was such a poor goal to concede. I don't know where the defense was. So easy for Romero to come in from behind and then to head it in, and the goalkeeper is not really able to make that. That should be saved, no matter what what game you're playing, what level of football you're playing. That header should be saved, and he misses it, and it becomes a 2-0 in the 47 minutes. And it was still Spurs who are the ones going ahead and trying to score the goal. They had the more chances, and it just looked like they were going to go ahead and do the job. As the time went by, we were thinking, okay, Spurs are going to do something special, and then comes that moment, 85th minute. They have one lapse of in concentration, and PSG go ahead and score. It becomes 2-1. That goal from Lee was really good. Having a space, getting on his left foot, taking a chance, and it finally gets off in for PSG and becomes a 2-1. And then then the nerves come in. Then that's where it really matters. And unfortunately for Spurs, they ended up doing what they are known for best. They ended up being Spursy. They ended up messing it up. The way that Hakimi passes the ball to Dembele, it is so easy for him. Outside of his foot, Dembele makes an easy pass for him, crosses it in, and the goal, the header goes in, and it becomes a 2-all right. And at the end, and at the moment that goal went in, I knew. Spurs were going to lose. I knew it. I knew they were going to go ahead and miss the penalties, and unfortunately for them, that's what happened. And PSG ended up winning the game. and there are a lot of positives for both the teams, and there are a lot of negatives. I would say there are more positives for Tottenham Hotspur, and there are more negatives for PSG. If I'm Luis Enrique, and if I am a PSG fan, and if I have watched that game, I would be really concerned. They were not really on rhythm. They, it just felt like the players were tired. I think they are having the side effect of playing such a long season last year, and they have to play yet again. Friday the league is starting. Tomorrow the league is starting. They are not playing tomorrow, but they are going to play on the weekend, and you can just see the players are not on their a level at the moment. They are not what you expect the PSG team to be, and I think it is going to be a struggle this season for PSG, especially at the start of the season. It is going to take the players to regain their form, and I think the goalkeeper is going to be an issue. I'll be very, very honest. I think Donnarumma leaving is going to be a big problem for PSG. They are not showing it at the moment, but Luis Enrique would have seen that performance, and he would have missed Donnarumma. The good thing for them is they ended up making a comeback. They made sure that they don't lose the game. They go ahead and win on penalties as well, and they become the Super Cup champions, which they should have done. Everybody expected them to win, so it was an expectation that has been fulfilled. So they would be happy about that. Spurs, on the other hand, I mean, as I said, they controlled the game, even though they had about 20% of that possession. They were very happy to let PSG have the ball. They were really happy to defend. They were really happy to sit back and hit them on the counter attack. They hit them on the set pieces. As I said, both the goals came from set pieces, and I think this is something that Spurs fans would really be happy about, because they never really scored on set pieces last year. So it is a really good thing for them. But unfortunately, this is the mentality thing that Spurs have, and I don't really care which manager comes in, and people are gonna think here that I'm bantering them and whatnot. But unfortunately, it is the truth. Spurs end up messing it up for themselves, and they have done it yet again in this game as well. They should have won that game. They should have won the cup, but they have not. And Thomas Frank needs to do something about this. He needs to change the mentality of that club. He needs to change the soul of that club to to make sure that they they don't keep on messing the situation. They don't keep on shooting themselves on the foot, because the game was there to be won. Everything was ready for them, and they go ahead and they just they couldn't really take it, if I'm being very honest with you, and it is gonna take them time. They have won the Europa League. That's a big deal, so you would have expected them to go over the line, but it has not happened. But overall, I think it was a good game of football. We got the result that we expected, but we did not get it in a way that we would have expected. I mean, it was a nice turnaround. It was a nice comeback from PSG, and being an Arsenal fan, as I said, it's always nice to see Spurs screwing things up for themselves. If you're a Spurs fan, you are really going to be pissed off about that, because as I keep on saying, I mean, they were the better team for about 98% of the game, and they somehow still ended up not winning that game and throwing away the cup. So and at the end of the day, it is supposedly a preseason game. I think it's a Super Cup, it's a trophy, but it is not going to. It's of that importance. But if you are a Spurs fan looking at it objectively and overall, I think they would be really happy with what they saw with their team, and they would be happy, that, and they would hope that they can carry it on in the Premier League season. And as I said, I think it's going to be a good season for Spurs. They are going to cause a lot of trouble. I don't think they are going to have a season like last year. I think they are going to be in the mix of things this year. That's it for me in this video. Let me know what you guys thought of the game, what you guys thought of PSG's performance right before the league start, what you thought of Spurs performance right before the league start. Let me know in the comment section below. Like the video, share it as well. Click on the notification bell, and of course subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get to 550 subscribers before the end of the transfer window, so please go ahead and subscribe and help the channel out. Until next time, bye bye.